Okay, so now we're going to be able to find out what the genotypes are for parents and what the genotypes are for offspring. And we're also going to be creating a Punnett square so that we can find the ratio of offspring that are showing these genotypes. So first we have to read our question. Our question says a male bird is a homozygous recessive for wacky wings, and he's crossed with a female who is a homozygous dominant for normal wings. So the first question you need to answer are, what are the genotypes of these birds? So first you're going to find the genotype for the male bird, and that would be a small w or lowercase w, which means that he has a recessive gene. And then you need to find out for the female. So the female is a homozygous dominant. So she is going to have a capital letter W because this is standing for our dominance. Okay. Now we're going to go into our Punnett square. So you can put the male up here, or you could put the female down here, or vice versa. It's up to you. So we're going to put the male at the top. So he'll have a small w. Okay. And we're going to put the female at the bottom with a capital W for dominant. So our recessive is up here, our dominant is here. The reason we have one letter is because they are going to be dominant, and we're going to just be working with one gene. So what you do is you're going to add the squares together, and the dominant trait will always go first. So the capital letter will always go first. So if I add my capital W with my lowercase w, so I add my dominant with my recessive, I'm going to get a dominant capital letter and a lowercase recessive. And I'm going to do the same thing for both. Okay, same process. So now it's asking me the offspring. Are our offspring going to be homozygous dominant, homozygous recessive, or are they hybrid? So we know that if they have a capital letter and a lowercase letter, they are hybrid, which means they are going to have the two, they're going to carry the two genotypes, but what is going to be shown, the phenotype, is going to be the dominant one. So the offspring here are hybrid because they have both of the genotypes. The traits of these birds is they are going to have normal wings. The reason they're going to have normal wings is because the capital W is dominant and the female had dominant wings, which was a capital W. Okay. So now we have to find the ratio. So the ratio is we're going to be counting the offspring. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 offspring because we have 4 squares. So how many of these are homozygous dominant? The way they're homozygous dominant is they had to have 2 capital letters that are W. There are 0 because there is 0 out of 4. So we're going to put a 0. Now we're looking at our homozygous recessive. In order for them to be a homozygous recessive, they would have to have the lowercase letters. So here, they would have to have the small or the lowercase letters. So as we can see in the 4 squares, we have, again, 0. So this would be 0. Now, out of the 4, we're looking for the hybrid. A hybrid means we have a capital and a lowercase. And out of the 4, we actually have 4. So 4 of the offspring would have or would be hybrid genotypes. Now, this is how you are going to be doing some of these Punnett squares. So this is when they only have one of the dominant genes. So now we're going to be looking at a male bird that is hybrid, that has normal wings, and it's going to be crossed with a female who is a homozygous recessive, which has the lowercase w's for wacky wings. So the first thing you need to ask yourself again is, what are the genotypes of the birds? So we know that the male has a capital W and a lowercase w, and the female has 2 lowercase w's. How do we know this? Because this one is a hybrid, which we see here, And this one is recessive, which we see here. So now what you do is you take these letters and you're going to put them in the boxes. So we're going to put, again, the male at the top. So a big W and a little w. And then we're going to put the female, so small w and small w. And now we're going to find the offspring. We're going to do the same thing where we add them together, but we need to make sure that we always put the capital letter first. So here we have a capital letter, which is dominant, and a lowercase letter, which is recessive. We come to the second box. We're going to have the same thing. Then we come to this box, and we're going to have a lowercase recessive, lowercase recessive. And then here we're going to have a lowercase recessive, a lowercase recessive. So now let's look at our offspring. So what type of offspring are we going to have? So we have two that have a capital letter, and we have two that have two small letters. So we know that two are going to have normal wings, and two are going to have wacky wings. Okay. Then we're looking at our traits. Same thing, right? They're going to have normal wings, and some will have wacky wings. So now let's look at our squares. What is our ratio of our homozygous dominant? So we said homozygous dominants were two capital letters. And we said that homozygous recessive were two lowercase. And we said that hybrid are one uppercase and one lowercase. So now looking at these, how many do we have that are dominant? So I come and I look at my chart over here at the top. So I look at my chart up here, and I have 0 that have two capital letters. Now I'm going to look at my recessive. And my recessive are my small letters, or my lowercase letters, which are our, which are our homozygous recessive. So if I look at these squares, I have 2. So right, my ratio here would be 2 out of 4. When you write a ratio, as we know in math, you should be putting a colon in the middle. Now let's look at my hybrid. I know my hybrid should be 1 capital and 1 lowercase. So if I look at my hybrid, I know that I have 2 out of 4. And this is how you're going to be doing this Punnett squares. Right now, we're only going to be working on 1 trait, and next week we're going to be incorporating 2 traits. All right, if you have any questions, re-watch the video. Re-watch the video. Join my office hours, and I can't wait to see you guys next week.